Let's get some water. And I've been reading my favorite poets recently, and I just had to talk about well, one of my favorite poets who I always read all the time. And that's my friend Donnie Winter. I've read all of his poetry, very highly invested in his poetry. One of his books that I think that people, one of his works that I think people aren't aware of is his second book, which is called Feats of Alchemy, which is a little bit, it's not necessarily steampunk, it's more cyber tech. It's a little bit of because he's more of a naturalist writer. He tends to write about environmentalism and about being, because he likens how being queer is such a he likens nature to the queer experience. But in his second book, he talks about the otherness of the queer experience, that society makes one feel, othered in certain ways. And so it's that dichotomy of that inherently in himself, in his natural state, he tries to reconnect with nature, but humanity makes him feel othered. So it's very interesting the way that he talks in this book, because it's such a divergence from his first book, which talks about the naturalism of the queer experience, because it's talking about the doubts that he has in his mind, the secret things of the queer experience, in which one feels vulnerable and has doubts about things, and is vulnerable in their queer experience, and both are valid. I think that it's part of the wholeness of the queer experience, I think. And so I think that it's an evolution of thought about the queer experience. So it's very interesting to me. I really enjoy seeing how he's evolving his ideas about the LGBTQ experience. So yeah. But So I wanted to read, because he does in this book. He had a series of queer confessions, and so there's so many good ones. I was caught because he wrote several ones, and I wanted to read Solus Ipsus, but there was one that I wanted to read, that sat with me, and I really, it kind of reminded me of the end of his first book that he wrote, which was called My Closet is a Reliquary, that poem that he wrote. So I feel like this book is a continuation of that last poem that he wrote at the end of his first book, which the title is, oh God, it's, hang on a sec, let me think about it. It's Carbon Footprint. I could see the cover. I just couldn't think of the name. I kept thinking of my book named Beachfront Property, and I was like, it's not Beachfront Property, it's Carbon Footprint. I knew it was something like that. It had that like that timbre to it. But at the end of Carbon Footprint, he was talking about My Closet as a Reliquary, where he talked about how he had to come out of the closet. So I feel like this book, The Feats of Alchemy, is a continuation of My Closet as a Reliquary. But let's read Queer Confession number 6, and kind of get an understanding about where he's coming from his book. And I will drink some water, as I am getting thirsty. Here we go. Queer Confession number 6. We sit in closets still contemplating ourselves through the old traumas, the ones we never shared out of fear of rejection. Some of us are kids locked in adult bodies because our shame stays glued inside our rib cages and expands with each year. Our weathered clothes hang heavy upon their hangers, off-colored like us and our carefully crafted self-deprecating humor. Whispers wet our lips as we shift into 30s with partners beside. We pray to these vacancies that we won't ruin them too. So, yeah. So this is, to me, an expansion of My Closet as a Reliquary, that there's a sense of even coming out of the closet and being openly gay. There's still a sense of being still stuck inside a mental closet of being that kid that was not, openly gay, because there's still that heavy, trying to heal from that. Yeah, I it's very moving. From somebody who is, queer myself, it's very moving. And so, and somebody, he's my friend. So, I definitely, it's just very moving for me. So I appreciate it a lot. And, it's very moving for me. It's very touching, that he's able to be so vulnerable like that. Because it's very hard to be vulnerable on paper like that. So, but definitely, if you have not had a chance, Feats of Alchemy.